as the #1 terrorist state. It seems to be much more a cause than a country, but that's perhaps historians will reflect on that and draw a different conclusion. We need to focus on Iran. And why do we need to focus on Iran? Twofold purpose. I'm here today because I don't think there's any more important purpose than the United States of America to keep its commitment to the men and women, the residents of Camp Liberty. A commitment that's 10 years old, a commitment that probably looks pretty stale to the men and women that are there, the men and women that we can go back time and time again. It looks like we've either ignored or we've retreated. The United States Department of State, on multiple occasions, with several of my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats, academic community, military community, intelligence community, law enforcement community, my Department of State said, we will have a regular presence at Liberty. The United Nations said we will have a regular presence at Unity. Both of them said we will do everything if they move from Ashraf to Liberty to expedite their resettlement. And promise after promise after promise continues to be broken. I sound like a broken record, and I apologize. People that deserve the apology are the people in Liberty, because they trusted us, because we trusted our own government. So a lot of us take this personal. They may not be worried about their credibility and their word, but we worry about ours. And all of you know the incredible group of men and women that are committed to this effort. And then we'll let Iran and figure out whether it wants to be a cause or a country. Right now, it's the source of all evil in that region, and it is the greatest threat to the life and liberty of the men and women at Camp Liberty. Quite an irony, isn't it? Thank you very much.
The most blatant genocide, in lack of a better term, it was genocide, was September 1st, 2013 at Camp Ashraf. From the northern perimeter, the camp that we used to have, now used by the Iraqi forces, came the Iraqi Codes Force, the Iraqi Golden Division, the SWAT team. They were fully dressed in the uniforms. They came in, as Governor Dean said, handcuffed, and then shot people in the back of the head. Went into the medical station where people were trying to get aid, gunned them down, systematically moving through the camp. And what's the first thing the United States does? State Department jumps up and says there is no evidence the Iraqi government was involved. But I'm going to say this one. Anybody who says the United States, anybody who says the government of Nouri al-Maliki was not involved in the Ashraf massacre is either a liar, stupid, or both. I can't be much more blatant than that, can I? No. Okay. Let me talk a minute for Camp Liberty. As pointed out by previous speakers, we made agreements. And for the officers assigned to Ashraf to see those agreements violated is really irritating. That's why you see guys like Dave Phillips, myself, Tom Cantwell, Leo McCloskey, and others adamantly speaking up. And by the way, none of us accepts any kind of compensation for the time that we spend, the things that we write, the presentations that we give, or anything. Reason being is we know what is right, and we're fighting for humanity, and we're fighting for the word that we gave to people ourselves.
I'd like to do a review, more of a global strategic review that would lead us to the importance of that group, which is based in Iraq, that has been the hopes of the Iranian people and is now under grave danger in Camp Liberty. The Iranian regime that has penetrated Iraq is not just doing it for the sake of Iraq. Iraq happens to be the basis of this strategic regional outlook. Iraq is vital for the Iranian regime to reach Syria and Syria is vital to reach Lebanon and Hezbollah, we have learned over the years that only a strong, organized, centralized, multi-ethnic, pluralistic opposition can be the deterrence and the reversal of the Iranian regime. There are no other alternative. They would be fearful of a centrally organized, efficient organization that can actually mobilize these masses. And if a change occurs, there is another battle after a change or during a change, and we saw it throughout the Arab Spring. The Iranian regime knows that there will be other waves of demonstrations. We cannot stop those demonstrations. What the Iranian regime has been trying to do, and that's crucial for the understanding of why Tehran wants the head of the MAK. They are afraid of that only centralized organization, which at the next season of spring in Iran will be the one to seize the opportunity historically and then prepare for a transition. They are afraid of the transition. So they beheaded ahead of time. They intercepted ahead of time. This explains the entire Iranian policy in Iraq, among other things. Now, between 2003 and 2008, we should have, and we could have, strategically supported the Iranian opposition, the exiles based in Iraq. Not one Ashraf, 10 Ashrafs. That's what we needed to have in Iraq. Bottom line, we transferred the real commands and controls of power in Iraq to a partner of the Iranian regime. So everything that happened since 2012, January of 2012, till now is normal. Iran has obtained Iraq after we withdrew. And when they obtain Iraq, what is the first thing they would want to do? The very first thing, to eliminate the Iranian opposition in Iraq.